I want to begin. First of all, I would like to extend my greatest appreciation to President Dr. Richard Garassi and Provost Dr. Lily McNair and Senior Associate Provost Dr. Jeffrey Krause, Assistant Vice President of Campus Life Ruth Shaw Gordon, and all other incredibly dedicated and talented members of administration and trustees for giving me the opportunity to address Wagner's graduating class of 2013. I would also like to thank all the highly dedicated and intellectually motivating, and that's putting it lightly, professors who have helped me develop the knowledge and the skill to craft this speech for everyone here today. And I think we should all give them a round of applause because they are the stars here. It is truly a privilege to address what I believe to be some of the most intellectually driven, civically engaged, politically aware, ambitious, enthusiastic, and venturous leaders I have ever had the honor of learning alongside. And for that, I believe you and your loved ones should all give yourselves a round of applause right now. Today, we have had the privilege to hear from Myrlie Evers-Williams and other profoundly inspirational speakers who have overcome great hardship, tragedy, and adversity in their lives to become the motivated, successful, and highly influential figures they are today. Although I realize that my life is only just beginning in terms of making an impact on the world and those around us, I would like to share with you all a lesson in my life that has motivated me to dedicate my life to making a difference to those around us who have suffered from various injustices in order to attain the freedoms you and I take for granted each and every day of our lives. This lesson is the remarkable power of a human voice. Voice is the foundation of human identity. It is what we use to express emotion, to communicate information, and to distinguish ourselves. Without a voice, man and woman have no identity. They are strangers in their homeland, hollow shells without life, beings in a permanent state of exile from the world around them. This was the first lesson that my mother, Deborah, taught me after she brought me into this world. From as far back as I can remember, my mother would read to me, sing to me, and teach me the beauty of a human voice. As I grew older, I began to understand how my voice was what enabled me to pursue my freedom, and I yearned to use my voice to satisfy my thirst for knowledge. However, in my youthful innocence, I could not begin to fathom the value of a single human voice and the horror of having this priceless human treasure taken away. On January 15th, 2009, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 terminal lung cancer. She was given 6 months to live, a death sentence that no voice was powerful enough to counteract. Suddenly, the woman who taught me the power of voice was slowly having hers forcefully taken from her. With each passing day, I watched helplessly as my mother deteriorated in front of me, becoming too weak to walk, eat, and eventually to get out of her own bed. As the cancer progressed to her brain, my mother began to lose her vocal and cognitive functions entirely. She entered a state in which she could barely recognize her own family, and in her last day of life, I watched, in complete disarray, as my mother, my beloved mentor, lay in bed completely emaciated, unable to speak, hear, or move. She died in the silence of the October night, voiceless, unable to say her final goodbye to her only treasured son. Sorry. Thank you. The final image of my mother, an immobilized woman trapped in her own void of suffering, confined to a bed, unable to reach those whom she loved and cared about, is the image that has motivated me to dedicate my life to carrying out her lesson. In that moment, I realized that no matter how much pain and sorrow you feel, there's no way to truly put the past behind you. In the end, you only succeed in running from it. It would be painful to face, but I knew that if I didn't, my wounds would never heal. In my mother's memory, I swore that I would find a way to protect any human being from being deprived of their voice. But in order to make the change in the world, I knew that I must first change myself. But no matter how right my words were, I had to actually carry them out in order for them to have any meaning. To ensure that her lesson and her suffering were not in vain, I immediately began to volunteer my time teaching those who struggled to find their voices. My journey began in El Centro de Inmigrante in my freshman and sophomore years and continued into my junior year with the nonprofit Hispanic advocacy group Operation Turnaround. As a second-generation Puerto Rican American, and seeing the hard work, dedication, and sacrifice that my father has made for me in order to give me this opportunity to create a prosperous future for myself, I have become very passionate about promoting and protecting Hispanic presence in the community. As sadly, the voice of these individuals is often silenced by language barriers, racial discrimination, and poor childhood education. Although I was young and still inexperienced in city politics, I played to my academic strength and ambition to strengthen the future influence of the Hispanic immigrant population. I worked closely with many children of immigrants, tutoring them in reading, math, history, and writing, and helping to develop their English skills. I also worked to successfully obtain grant applications for college scholarships for these youth in hopes of increasing Hispanic presence in higher education. As a result of my successful involvement with the youth and this organization, I was ultimately chosen by community leaders to work closely with political figures, attending many conventions on civil liberties, human rights, and civic responsibility as a representative of the organization. As I became immersed in the dialogue of civil rights and civil liberties, my passion for city government and the law grew stronger, and I began to discover how the law would enable me to carry out my promise to my mother. After more than 3 years of working for these organizations, I applied for and was accepted to a competitive internship working in the Human Rights and Constituent Services Division of Councilwoman Debbie Rose's office in the 49th District of Staten Island, the poorest and least politically represented district on the island. Thank you. Every day, I continue to spread the value of my late mother's lesson, working closely with constituents who have desperately sought to make their political voices heard. However, despite the great achievements and successful outcomes our office has brought about, on many occasions, my voice as an intern has simply not been strong enough to reach these individuals. My ability to help my constituents to exercise their political voice is often impeded by their lack of legal representation or by laws or policies that restrict the impact of their political voice. These individuals, like the students I worked with at various organizations, require the power of the law to break through the barriers to their political freedom. That is why I have chosen to follow this path, in order to make a tangible difference in our world by studying and applying the power of the law to those who need it the most in the fields of criminal defense and human rights. In honor of my mother, I want to conclude my speech today here with a lesson that I hope will help all of you reach and achieve your dreams as we say farewell today. Life is filled with a practically infinite number of lessons, which we will encounter every day of our lives, both now and in the years that lie ahead. But some of the most valuable lessons in life are also the most painful lessons. Ultimately, in order to gain something of great worth in life, you always have to sacrifice something else that is important to you in return. But if you are courageous enough to face that pain head-on and overcome it, I can assure you that you will gain the passion and the strength to conquer any obstacle that life throws at you. I believe that each and every one of you today holds that strength inside you. Reach for it, and if you ever believe that all is lost, in time, you will find that nothing is beyond your reach. Ask yourselves as you begin your journeys into the bright future today, who do you fight for, and how hard must you fight for them? When you discover the answer to that question, and treasure the bonds that you have made with your closest friends and loved ones, you will know that you have found the power within you to truly make a genuine and lasting change in our world. I want to conclude my speech today by asking my father, if he isn't already, because I can't really see because these lights are so bright, to stand, please, out there. I gotta tell you guys, this is not easy. This is not easy. Dad, I want to thank you for everything that you've done for me. I think that you are probably one of the strongest people I've ever met in my life. And I wouldn't be standing here right now if it wasn't for you. And I know that you've been through so much, and I just hope that I have made you proud by standing here today and achieving what I have. And I want to thank you for always being there for me. Thank you so much. And today, I will conclude with congratulating this wonderful class, and I really and truly hope that you never forget where you came from and what these people sitting behind me, and sitting in the corners, and sitting behind you have all done for you today to make you be able to achieve what you have and what you will in the future. Don't forget about them, always keep them in mind, and always remember that the toughest battle sometimes is the battle within. But you cannot give up. Never give up, and always move forward, because you all have the strength to succeed. Thank you very much.